mic is live. Ah.
It's 6:05, and I hereby call this regularly scheduled recessed meeting of the City Council to order. Could you please bow your heads? Heavenly Father, we ask for your blessings upon us tonight. We ask that you help and assist all the residents that are here with their concerns and help us to find resolutions to their issues. We ask you to bless everybody sitting in here tonight, that we make the right decisions to benefit all residents of Diamondhead. We ask that you pray for our veterans, as this week we honor our veterans. Thank them for their service. Continue to put your hand over them and watch them and bless them daily. In his name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, Miss Jeannie Klein.
Mayor DeBrio.
Here.
Councilmember Finley. Councilmember Moran.
Here.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Marr.
Here.
The next regularly scheduled meeting of the City Council will be held on November 16th, 2021 at 6 p.m. here in City Hall, City Council Chambers, 5000 Diamondhead Circle. The City of Diamondhead's Festival and Barbecue Competition is scheduled for Saturday, November the 13th from 10 to 7 a.m. at Harbor Circle. The Veterans Day prayer service will be held in the morning at 10 a.m., and we ask that if you can attend that would be wonderful. Councilman Shepherd has been working on the barbecue committee, so I'm going to turn over so he can give you a few highlights about what's going to be happening.
So we have 8 teams competing in the barbecue competition. Really, it's going to be a good competition, I believe. We have 2 fantastic bands. We have Chicken on a Bone playing in the morning, Assume Risk playing in the evening, food trucks, bouncy Kid Zone, bouncy castles. It's free to all our citizens. Come out and enjoy it. It's going to be a great event with some great sponsors that helped us put this thing on.
Thank you. And it's always a fun time, excellent event, and you will get full on the barbecue. So come on out and have fun and listen to the band.
And Mayor, I know you were excited to get to Ricky and the barbecue event, but we did not confirm the agenda.
Okay.
So.
Sorry, we're celebrating over here the agenda.
Hey, I know we're ready to roll, but
So can I get a motion to confirm or adjust the agenda as written?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Shepherd to approve, confirm as written. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Moran. All in favor?
Aye.
We are going to move on down to the resolutions. We're going to save the presentation for last. And did anybody sign up for public comments? No public comments. And if you have public comments on drainage, because you all are here tonight and we know you're here about drainage and we are working hard on drainage, we want to hear your comments. We're going to continue to have more meetings like this so that we can hear your comments. When the meeting adjourns, if you look over to the right, to the left, we have people sitting over here. They're sitting on these chairs, but we have the engineering firms here that are here to answer any questions you have on the current project. Some of them are also working on the future projects. So please take time to meet with them. Let them know your concerns, because engineers are great doing models, they do calculations, but they need to know specifically what's happening in these areas, and your input will benefit greatly on the drainage design and the outcomes. So they need to hear from you, and I can't say thank you enough. The council can't either. The staff, for all of you coming out tonight and getting engaged. This is what we need, so thank you. Resolution 2021-370, a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-075, thereby proclaiming Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Day holidays, and further ordering the City of Diamondhead government offices closures for the same. Could I get a motion?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Shepherd. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. City Clerk?
Finley is absent. Moran.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Marr.
Yes.
DeBrio.
Yes. Consent agenda. Could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Moran. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Clark. All in favor?
Aye.
And do we have any public comments on a non-agenda item? So we're going to move on to the drainage update, the presentation. From that, we're going to end the meeting and let you all meet with the engineers.
It's not coming on.
The mic came unplugged. Hey, what about my little clip-on?
It's on.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm pretty loud, so I may not even need it. So we're going to start out with our drainage update. The council, the city, Public Works have all been working hard on drainage. We know this has been a hot topic this year, so we're ready to face head-on and find some solutions with it. Diamondhead drainage. We're going to start out with the first few slides, understanding about what we have, our design, our current drainage, how it is laid out, and then move forward with resolutions and actions and plans that we're putting in place to get the drainage corrected. The map that we look at here in 2014 was the first drainage study we had in the city of Diamondhead. Formed newly in 2012, not much as far as the studying of the drainage had been done. 2014 was the major outfall study. This was the first time the city was divided up. It's divided up into 62 subbasins and 8 drainage basins. The basins are laid out and they're in color. And it's good if you learn what basin you're in. So when we're talking about we're working on modeling Basin A, you know specifically what area that is and if it's your area or what area you're in for your drainage basin. We have over 850,000 lineal feet of ditches. That is a lot of ditches. We have very little subsurface in Diamondhead. We're mainly open ditches and retention ponds. In 2014, we had over 6,400 drainage culverts. We're way past that at this point with all the new homes building, both residential and commercial, so we're way up. Our elevations, which we're very proud of, is 0 to 100. So Diamondhead has got a very large and low areas. We've got some very low-lying areas, but we've got some very high elevations, making Diamondhead very desirable. We have 24 detention ponds, and possibly there may be a few more. It was difficult to count, but the city only actually owns 2 of the retention ponds that we have. The rest are either POA or on different property. This map here, and this is the first time this map's been done and the first time that you all will be seeing it, but it's one that we're going to be using because it's phenomenal. We look at the blue areas, and this map is specifically for elevations to let you know the grades in Diamondhead. So if we look at the pink area, that's our highest grades. That is elevations between 75 to 100. Very high, and you see it's the middle. We know High Point is named High Point for that specific reason. The water tower is located in the high area. The yellow is 75 to 50, so this is still extremely high elevations. The green area is still high, 25 to 50, and then we move on 0 to 25, which is everything in blue, and that's the low-lying areas, the areas that are up against Rotten Bayou, the areas that are in front on the bay. So this map gives you, and if you look at this map and you look at drainage, this will tell you a lot about where we need to work, where we are, and the areas that are high. And I'm going to give a shout out to Digital Engineering over here, if y'all want to raise your hands. They are the ones that actually put these maps together. The master drainage study at the beginning was the first one, and I did draw that map back in 2014, but the maps that you see in the slide, Digital Engineering is our GIS, and they did a phenomenal job on putting these maps together. Now we look at retention ponds and our large outfall ditches. So as we mentioned, Diamondhead it drains specifically on open ditches, not subsurface. We have 24 retention ponds, and they have specific purposes. First of all, it's a lot more cost effective to have detention ponds than to put in a lot of subsurface drainage. Second, they're used for filtration, so this allows our waterways to be cleared. They're a natural filter from anything going into it. What's not on here is they also need to be maintained. We cannot leave them unmaintained because an unmaintained retention pond serves no purpose. So that's something that we're looking at working on as well. Flood zones. So I had a few of you, as soon as I walked in the door, question about flood zones. This map over here that we have gotten from SMPD, y'all need to go look at that because it goes into greater detail. This map that we have up here specifically shows the three zones that we have, which is A, E, and V. This map over here will tell you the AE zones, which are labeled with elevations on them. So you may be in AE 18. This lets you know the elevation you need to be at in order to build. If you look at our map, Diamondhead is sitting pretty good with flood zones. All the white is the next zone, a non-flood zone. That is a large portion of Diamondhead. The brown color, which is kind of, I guess it's dark yellow. Bruce, what's your color there?
Mustard.
We'll go with mustard. Okay, mustard's good. That color is our AE zones, and those are the ones that are specific to elevations assigned to them. And then we have our green, which is our velocity. And those are zones that, are expected to flood. They're in a velocity zone, and they have very strict regulations on those. A lot of that's out in the water. There's no homes. It looks a lot greener, but it's a very small area when you look at our land mass that's in the V zone. Flooding. So we've had a lot of flooding issues this year. Back in 2012, 13, 14, 15, I was working with the firm that was city engineer. At that time, we had one home in Diamondhead that ever flooded, ever, one. And can anybody guess where it was? It was the Blue House on Capilama, and it flooded numerous times, and it was the only home that we ever heard of flooding. Well, times are different now. They're different. It's a new era, so we have issues going on we have flooding happening now. Rainfall, and there's three reasons why we do. Rainfall runoff, river flooding, and coastal flooding. This year, a lot of the issues we had was rainfall runoff. A lot of rain coming down, and like I mentioned, we have 850,000 lineal feet of ditches. A lot of rain coming down. It would be impossible to dig those ditches as big as they need it to be to get the water out without them coming out the banks, and that's why we have these wonderful firms working on new detention areas to help and to assist with this. Coastal flooding, we've had our share of storms. When the Gulf is coming up, the water is pushed into Rotten Bayou, and at that point, we discharge out that way. We discharge out to Rotten Bayou. We discharge on the south side. When the water's up, it's not getting out at that point because we're inundated with water coming up from the Gulf. This year, and this may be my favorite slide in here, we had an average rainfall from, and this goes back to 2009 to 2021, average was running about 64 inches a year or less. You see the peaks, we've got, the only thing that's common here is we go down to 47, 50 inches, but when it goes up, it always goes up higher than it did before. So we're on every time we get a peak, it's getting higher. This year, we were way over 100 inches of rain, which is unheard of, unbelievable. We don't know, is this the new norm? Was this just a fluke year? We can't answer that. I don't think anybody in this room can answer that. But this year hit us hard with 100 inches of rain. So if we look at the bottom, and I know it's hard to visualize, so I'm going to tell you by gallons the difference. So our average year, we're going to use 60 as a base, is about 10 billion gallons. This year, we had close to 18 billion gallons of water coming into Diamondhead on our 10.11 acres. Diamondhead's bigger than the 10.11, but we used the land mass as our base for how much was coming in. Large amounts. So I know we had a few people saying, well, you can't, the rain didn't do any. The rain was a big factor with this much rain coming in. Our streets that flooded, homes that flooded. This slide specifically shows, and this is the data that we collected from Tropical Storm Claudette. So we look at the red triangles, and these are the areas that we try to focus on first. These are homes that had water in it. These are our priorities. This is where we're moving next. We have roads that flooded. We had Bayou Drive specifically that was underwater. The residents to the north of it could not get out, and that has happened several times. These are the areas that we're looking at. As residents of Diamondhead, and this is a very, very big important factor, we work with FEMA. Anytime a storm's declared, that's where we're going for help, assistance. We have guidelines, we have regulations. FEMA uses data that we have from the crisis track. Every time a storm's declared, I know personally I sent it out to like 500 people. The city manager sends it out in an email. The other council members share it on Facebook. If you're not putting your data in on crisis track, if your home floods, then you're not being picked up, you're not being counted, and we don't know about it. The city has got to know about what happens when a storm is hitting, and it's your obligation to go on crisis track. Call the city and let them know if you don't want to go on crisis track or don't know how to do it. We will gladly come out and help you and put it in for you. But we have to start recording it because we don't want you missed off the map. We don't want the city to lose out on funding or obligations because we don't have it. We use this too to get grants. So you need to do your duty. If something happens at your home and it floods, we need to know about it. We're here to help. So what are we going to do? We've seen how the Diamondhead is set up with drainage. We've heard about the flooding issues. We've heard about the rain. So what are our action plans? What are we going to do to move forward? Is this the new norm? First of all, we're doing hydraulic analysis. We've got Covington working on Basin A. So you saw in the first map, Basin A, the area Basin A was, and I'll go back and put that up so that you can know where Basin A is so you know who to go talk to about it. Eventually, we'd like to get the entire city done, hydraulic analysis, so that we can see, do we need to have some pipes resized? Do we need to add detention areas? This will help the engineers design the improvements that we need to prevent flooding. Stormwater management. Modifications to our existing stormwater practices, additional enforcement, and penalties on those who violate. Implementing land development policies and regulations that align community growth and development with stormwater management goals. This is a biggie right here. Stormwater management ensures that our waters are clean, ensures that our ditches are not blocked up with red clay, and this is something that we need to work harder on. Floodplain management, flood risk reduction goals, ordinance requirements and codes. The National Flood Insurance Community Rating System, the CRS, we have a firm working on that. Our disaster management firm, Rostan, is working on getting us secured with that. We hope with that our rating will be low enough that we will see a reduction in our flood insurance. Land use planning, this is another biggie right there with stormwater management. Networks of natural landscapes and low-impact developments can lower the amount of runoff and thus reduce dependence on built infrastructure to manage stormwater. Emphasize the protection and restoration of coastal flooding landscapes which absorb excess water, can provide flood protection benefits. So we see, and if you were at the last city council meeting, we had Orion planning here that showed a lot of streetscapes. It showed park areas off the streets. It showed a lot of green areas. These are smart developments that we have in order to have more green area and green spaces. Our land use planning, and specifically on our new commercial area, is going to implement these new features, but this is something we have to work harder at as well. Public Works, and I see we have a Public Works director in here, and I'm not going to call him out, but I think most of you have seen him out. He does a tremendous job. Public Works plays a big part in the drainage. They are out there every day, so they know what's going on. Public Works personnel are critical to the operation and maintenance of the key components of the stormwater management system. Public Works personally construct and maintain our stormwater system. They are in a good position to observe, to assist performance, and identify the areas that need to be repaired. Report to the city engineer to provide a solution. So on our Public Works, they're out there. They have been doing an excellent job on cleaning the ditches out. And I think everybody sitting in here can agree we've seen significant improvements. We have one resident that's saying no, but I've seen a lot, and we'll discuss that after the meeting. I've seen a lot of ditches looking good. They're doing an excellent job on that. So our Public Works, working on looking at areas and identifying and now we have a city engineer on full-time to help and assist with this. This will be a big factor on making sure that those major drainage ditches, as well as the minor drainage ditches are kept in good working condition. So thank you, Stanley, and y'all's good job with Public Works. Identify and prioritize drainage projects. And this is where the city manager, the city staff comes in, and the council to identify and to prioritize drainage projects. Prioritize projects and seek funding. Match the right funding with the right project. Have a realistic plan that our federal and state officials understand to assist with funding. Get moving and don't stop till we have all the projects funded. We're happy to announce that we do have Pickering Engineering, and they're sitting here on this first row. They're out there working hard to secure funding. The staff's working with them, the council is working with them, and we're seeking state and federal funding. We have Senator Moran in the audience, and I don't want to call him out, but I just did, so wave your hand. Senator Moran has been very beneficial in seeking state funding for Diamondhead. The most funding that we got was last year. We had a lot of funding coming in from the state, and we look forward to more coming up this next year. He's been very beneficial in helping the city move forward. And these are the relationships and the things that we need to get moving on this list of projects that you will see coming up. So thank you, Senator Moran. Action plan steps. Our first step is what we're doing tonight, community involvement. So without your input, we're kind of hindered. So we need you all to come, express your input, let us know what's going on. We've added a new link, and city manager did this today, and I'm going to thank him for that. Excellent job. This is going to be specific to drainage. So we want you all to go on the links. And can they upload photos?
No,
They can't. So if they have them, they can let you know. You can email. Okay. So if you have photos or that, you can email them to the info at Diamondhead, which is on the website as well. But this is a form that you can fill out, and this is the link. So I hope you all write it down. It's right there. diamondhead.ms.gov/publicworks web form report drainage problems. So go on the City of Diamondhead's website, go to Public Works, and you will see the link. On the left it says drainage problems report. We're going to take all this data, we're going to disperse it to these lovely folks sitting to the left and the right, and we're going to get moving on the issues and work forward with the drainage. But we need to know. We need to know about the problems. You know, from posting on Facebook today, I met a nice gentleman that had an issue that we weren't aware of. So you need to let us know if there's an issue in your area. That's the only way it's going to get improved. Going on Facebook is not going to help, so you need to be able to go online and report your issue. Okay. And that was Mr. Kitchens, and that was the POA. So that's been, Mr. Kitchens hadn't been with them for a long, so that was, and a few. Okay. Well, now that we're a city, we've got to We've got to let the past go. We've inherited a lot of issues. I had another issue that was from 2009 I heard about tonight. Your issue with Mr. Kitchen was way before we became a city. Okay. Okay, well, let's meet after the meeting and discuss that. So we inherited a lot with the POA. We do realize that. We're moving forward. Today's a new day. We have issues. We need to, our focus, our strength, and our energy needs to be working towards resolutions. Steps already taken by the city, and I'm not going to read all of these, but I'm going to read a few of them off. We do have Covington Engineers, Mr. Ben Benvenuti, working as city engineer. We implemented the net fill policy, which is going to help significantly to people that want to try to bring in too much fill dirt. We put a moratorium on landscape culverts until we can get it rewritten to a fact that we know they're sized correctly, they're in the right locations, maybe not in the rear yards. We need to look specifically, and we've got an engineer looking at that. We want to refine it and make it better. Drainage design is going to move from a 20-year design to a 100-year design. We'll be the second city on the coast taking this big step, and it's a big step because it costs a lot more to move from 25 to 100 and build a development. But we feel that's where we need to head. Bayou acquisition, it wasn't long ago the city accepted the bayous on the south side. They now belong to the city, and I can't say when they were ever dredged. Do we have a date? I don't think they were ever dredged. So we did inherit an issue with that, but we need those bayous. We need them for our outfalls. We need to know as a city that they're taken care of and they're maintained. Subdivision regulations, and we're working endlessly and effortlessly, and I know the city manager was working today on a property, on purchasing land or getting land donated that we can keep as green space or use as detentions. And I'm going to move over to the other side because I do see we have a Board of Supervisor member here. One of the big things we did was a joint venture with the Hancock County Board of Supervisors. We did receive some funding from the American CARES Act. We received a little shy of $2 million. We put funding with it, brought it up to the $2 million. Mr. Cody Canan, if you want to raise your hand because I'm putting you on the spotlight now. The Board of Supervisors agreed to match our $2 million with $2 million. So we now have $4 million ready to move forward on drainage. Cody, thank you very much for the Board of Supervisors helping and assisting with this. That's really going to help with drainage. Thank you. Thank you, and thank you to all the Board of Supervisors for assisting. Okay, can you wait till the end and let me get the PowerPoint? Okay. Okay, well, let's wait till the end because we don't talk from the audience. Go Mesa Funding, and this is something that Senator Moran helped with again. We received a grant of $495,000 for drainage and water. This funding here is going to be working on 2 of our detention ponds, and we've got an engineer working on that, and I'll get to that in a minute. NRCS grant funding, Alki Way, that was Pickering Engineering. You'll see work being done on that right now. It should be completed, I hope, really soon. We're moving in that direction. So we did the first 100 feet of that years ago. We've moved now to the next few hundred feet all the way to the interstate. We hired a disaster management firm, Rostan Solution. Not only are they going to help with getting us CRS community, they're going to help with getting us some HMGP grant funding, and this is hazardous mitigation grant funding that would allow us to do projects funded through FEMA and MEMA to do improvements to our drainage systems to ensure those areas do not flood. We hired Pickering Engineering, and I mentioned that a minute ago, to help with federal and state funding. And these are a few highlights on the actions that the city has already taken and moving forward. Previous actions taken, and I'm not sure if many of you know how many drainage projects have been done since the city was incorporated, but here is a list. The first 2 years, I think the city was busy being formed, but from then on, drainage projects moved. And here's a list of projects that were completed to help with drainage in years between 2013 and 2019. Current drainage projects. So the firms that we have here tonight are working on our current. So we talked about the past projects, and we're looking at the current, and we're going to hear the proposed. This is a map showing the locations of all the current drainage projects that we're working on, and there's 10 on there specifically. You won't see the Bow View subdivision because it's kind of under the red on the Pickering Area A Basin drainage study, but Digital Engineering is working on the Bow View drainage improvements that you can't see on here. So here is a list of the 10 projects we're currently working on. Makiki is a drainage project that we're replacing culverts under the street, replacing a catch basin, putting a ditch in behind homes, and working on the outfall ditch to do bank stabilization. Miller Pond and Lily Pond, these are both Go Mesa funded. We've got Pickering Engineering working on the permits, the core permits, to get us approved to be able to do work on them. Those two projects, the city, Mr. Stanley over here, is happy to get out there. He is going to work and restore these ponds. They're going to be cleaned out. Hilo Street, that's one that Pickering Engineering is working on. So if you live on Hilo Street, this is coming in right off of Diamondhead Drive East. The culverts under the street are going to be replaced all the way to the golf course and on the left side. So this work, the notice to proceed, was just approved on the agenda. We hope to see him out there by Monday, and it's a 60-day project. Hilo Way, we have Machado Patano. So they're sitting here on the first seat. Hilo Way has got an area that the city's been working on. I think it goes back to the POA on drainage issues. We've got water running down the street, going across the median and into garages and areas that are low in that area. So Machado Patano will be working on getting the drainage designed for Hilo Way. Turnberry Drainage, this is a very big project. We've got Covington Engineers working on. And this will be to, first of all, this is a very big project. This is the area that we're going to acquire 25 acres from Purcell. And we're going to turn that into a green area and a detention pond area. So this is the area between Turnberry and Crooked Stick. That whole area between that will become a green area and detention area. The cost is budgeted at $1 million. The design isn't finished, but that's where we're looking at on that. Aiki, Kaliki, and Amoka. I've been talking about this since 2016. I know I've sat there. I could show videotape. Covington is working on this one as well. This ties in with the Subbasin A, the analysis of the drainage and the hydraulic analysis. This is the outfall area of Drainage Basin A, which is a very large area. And we've seen issues starting at Diamondhead Drive North, moving to Aiki, Kaliki, Amoka, and then out. Those areas specifically we're looking at for improvements as separate from Drainage Basin A, but yet correlates with the hydraulic model. Montjoy Creek restoration, we have Jason Kenichi's, are we here? Oh, Nancy, I'm sorry. And I graduated with Nancy. We won't say what year. So Kenichi Engineering's working on Montjoy Creek restoration, and this is funded by Tideland Funds. Again, thank you, Senator Moran, for the Tideland Funds. This project goes in conjunction with the work that Kenichi Engineering firm did on Rotten Bayou. We did a little restoration work, and that was done about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. This project will go back, review the restoration work in Rotten Bayou. We may have to do some fine tuning and do a little bit more restoration work. And it'll also put in sediment basins in Montjoy Creek, do restoration in Montjoy Creek. We'll also add at the end of Banyan Place a pier, a fishing pier, and a little kayak launch. So instead of going the 9 miles from Bayou Drive all the way to the Harbor House, you'll have a midpoint to stop and rest, and it'll be Banyan Place. This is going to be a very good, it's both fixing drainage, correcting, restoring the bayou, restoring Montjoy Creek, sediment basins, as well as allowing a fishing pier and a kayak launch. Bow View, we've got Digital Engineering working on that. This is a drainage project that is looking at drainage in the rear of the homes from the new development and the existing homes. So this is specific to a few residents, but it also takes all the drainage coming in across Golf Club Drive. So this is a major project we're looking at to assist with that. Drainage proposed projects. Now this is a big list of projects, and this is where the priorities come in to look at what we're prioritizing, what needs to move next. And a lot of this comes from the crisis track, where you put in the homes that were flooded on where we're moving next, where we're headed. We've got Pickering looking at the potential funding sources, and they're listed below, and I'm not going to read them all out to you. So looking at the priority, you see one going all the way down to the purple, starting one with red, which is Drainage Basin A. The cost that we're doing with Drainage Basin A is just the engineering fees at the moment. The engineers will do the hydraulic analysis, break it up into several different projects, and at that point we'll start looking for funding specifically for those. The project number 2 is, and we've heard a lot about Alamona, Coon Branch, that whole area, those drainage ditches. Everything that you see in the mustard colored, again, is our number 2, where we need to focus on those homes that are flowing. And all of these have priority, but we have to put in order where we're seeking funding, where we're moving, so that we can move forward. That area there will be number 2, and number 3 you can barely see, but that is Bayou Drive. Anybody here live on Bayou Drive? So Bayou Drive, when the bayou goes up, tends to flood in one specific area. Homes cannot get across and get back into their homes. They can't get out. They can't leave till the water recedes. It gets to be. Well, they may not have known about it. We should have advertised more. We'll go with that. So specifically looking at that, that's a project that we need to look at, because people need to have ingress and egress into their homes, and that's a priority. That's number 3. Then number 4 we see is the green area, and this is the bayous that we inherited, and the cost on dredging these bayous out is estimated at approximately $5 million. So we've got a lot of grant funding to look at to be able to, like I said, they probably hadn't been dredged since ever. We have no record of it. So it's time to look at those and look at what we can do to improve them. And this priority list is not set in stone. It's set right now by the number of homes that flooded, and these are the areas that we're looking at specifically first to address, identify, and correct. So at this point, we're going to look at the engineering firms, and I'm going to ask them to raise their hands so that the residents know what tables specifically to go to. We need you all to engage. We need you to ask questions. And we need you to assist the engineers with solutions. Let them know this is what's happening in my area, because if you tell them, then they know. They have a better feel of what they need to do. We're going to ask that you do not contact them personally after the meeting. We ask that you go online to our drainage form. They will get these forms. We will let the city manager does a phenomenal job keeping up with the website and keeping up with where the forms are going. He will direct to the engineers. He is our point of contact with the engineers, and he will forward your information. So we got Pickering Engineering, and they are all in Pickering Engineering shirts, so they won't be hard to miss. They're working on Makiki, the Miller Pond, the Lily Pond, and Hilo Street. That's not Hilo Way, it's Hilo Street. Any of those 4 projects. They're also working on the grant funding for the list that I showed you in the prior map, which has the list of the projects in order. So if you want to, Cindy is very good about grants. She's been helping us with that. If you got any questions, to direct there. Hilo Way, Machado Patano, right over here. So if anybody's here with Hilo Way. Covington Engineering, right over here. Okay, so Covington Engineering's got a stack on his plate tonight. So Stanley might have to get up and help you over there. So on Covington Engineering, they're also the city's engineer. Turnberry Drainage, where we're acquiring the 25 acres to work on that project. Aiki, Kaliki, Amoka, we've been talking about that. We're ready to move forward on it. Sub-Basin A, which is a very large area in Diamondhead, they're working on that. So If you live in an area in Sub-Basin A, and I'm going to put that map back up here so you know what it is, please take 5 minutes and go talk to Covington Engineers. Kenichi, we've got Nancy over here. This is the Montjoy Creek and water access. And I see we've got a few residents here that live in Devil's Elbow. If y'all want to head over to Nancy after and ask her specific questions. Bowview Drainage, I see a few residents here that live on Golf Club Drive. We've got Bruce, John right over here. They can answer questions about that project. So with that, that concludes our PowerPoint. We want to thank you again for coming out, and please don't move just yet because we have to adjourn the meeting. I don't want y'all to be running off. We're going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you again for coming out. If the city manager can pull that off, he says he can. Then it will be on the website. You can look at it and review it. You are very welcome. So I'm gonna pull back to where the first map. This map right here shows the drainage basins. So you see Area A, which is in the green. That is a large part of Diamondhead. I'm going to zoom it up, and that's the ones that you need to go to Covington. So if there's no further business, okay. If there's no further business of the city council, could I get a motion to adjourn? Motion made by Councilman Clark. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, now y'all are free to get up, move, get with your engineers, and get your questions. And thank you again for coming out.